so I've just got some yellow, cadmium yellow, and I'm just going to put a little bit of thinner just there where the paint is, just so that it thins it down for me. I want it to be thinner. Now there's already a bit of like green and blue and stuff in the brush, so instantly as soon as I touch that yellow it turns green. I'm wanting a lightish green, and then basically with that I can just tap and push in and get a little ridge of paint. You see that ridge on the canvas, on the palette? That's exactly out there on your bristles. Now with that, the sunlight is coming from left to right, so I'm just going to highlight the left hand side mainly of these trees. And by thinning it down, it will help it to stick and it will stop it from mud mixing. When you've touched it and you pick up a bit of that colour, you can sometimes go back in like I just did then and go into the shadowed areas. So I want it bright here on the edges. That's it. And then in the centre, keep it a lot more dark, and especially towards the base, because we've got the sunlight coming through and hitting the edge of these. So I'm just wanting to indicate that just a tiny bit. What I might do, I might put a tiny bit of burnt sienna in with that, because it's not just a flat green, it's got a bit of that browny hue to it as well. So I'm going to push into that now. Just change the hue that easily, that quick. That's more like it. It's not quite as green. It's definitely still green, but there's a bit of that browny colour in there. You can see it there on the palette anyway. And with that, put a few down there. A few little areas on that as well. Highlight the left hand side and a tiny bit on the right. Right, so again I'm running out of colour now, so don't forget when you do this you've not got no thinner in it anymore, so it won't stick and you'll start having trouble. So you get a bit, oops, I've just touched my sky there, the palette. That's how close I am here to try and show you this. It's easy to fix it though. I can easily show you how to do that. Bit of thinners in there again, and just that same colour will keep coming through from the blue and green you had on the brush underneath, and then a tiny bit of burnt sienna to that, and that's the colour. So again, tap, push into that, and it'll be thin enough now to stick over the top. Just in there. Don't kill all your darks. There. I'm happy. That's pretty much it. At a distance of these. So again, I can come in here, apply a little bit of that to the left hand side of the tree. Tiny bit up there. Happy? What you can also do is just run your knife through just a little bit, just there. Follow that trunk up to about there, and you can actually just run it through. Look like a few little sticks and twigs and stuff that's going on up in there then. Like it. I always like to go back in as well after doing that. I always get a little bit more dark again, and then you can just go in and tap some more shadows in between it all. That's good. Do the same in there. Just put a little indication of a trunk that's way off. Now you see I went into the sky area up there. This is how easy with wet on wet it is to repair something of that nature. See how easy that was? Vanished. Your brush is an eraser when you're painting wet on wet. All my good dark colours together. Sap green as well with that. But a bit more sap green than anything else. A little bit of burnt sienna in with that as well. Now, if I want to use that colour, I'm just going to come up in here and create some little indications for this tree. Don't want it to be too big, this one. Keep it relatively small. Just want it to pop out there. Get a little bit wider as it goes down. So just blocks that in there behind that. It's a gnarly little one, is this? Nice. Maybe a few more little arms coming out from it. Just lower down. Something about like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing I did over there. Just going to touch with the heel of the knife and just run that up through there. Put a little top on it. Same with this one. Give it a little trunk. There, something like that. Even this one in the background, we can do that. Put a little indication in there. Now, at the bottom of these, I'm just going to get some titanium white up here, mix it with a little bit of burnt sienna and a little bit of sap green together, which makes a lovely tree trunk colour. Something like so. Cut across, get a little roll of paint on the knife, and then I want to follow this big one down here. Got a bit of trunk just in there. That's it. Something like that. If you get too big a roll, the trunk will end up too fat. Maybe there's a bit of something just in there showing. You can go up into these parts and put the tiniest amount of that colour. Great stuff. Now we're going to have some snow on these trees because over this side is in shadow majority of the day, and it's kept a little bit of snow on the actual trees as well. So I'm going to put some green on like I did there, but I'm also going to put some snow on. The sun's been hitting these, so the snow has melted, whereas these, because they're in the shadow, they've kept some of the actual snow on there. So what I'm going to do first of all, I'm just going to use my green brush and my greens on, same colours I've been using. Bit of burnt sienna into that green, and then just here and there I'm just going to touch a little bit of colour into some of them. Especially into the right hand side of the trees, because that's where the shadows are on this, and I want the snow in there as well, so I don't want the snow to be turning green. So I'm only putting it in liberally. I'm not putting a lot of colour, I'm putting a little bit of colour in there first, and then I'll come along and apply a few highlights to it. I'm mainly highlighting the tops of the trees with a bit of that green. There. That's it. And even in here I just put a little bit of green now and again, so you've got a little hue of that in there as well. And on this bush, it's a bit closer to us. There, don't kill it. Leave the bottom pretty dark really. in there. Happy. A few little bits maybe just on that. Now there's a trick to this, what I'm going to be doing. Now I said I'm going to put some snow on these, and the trick is to again thin your paint slightly. So I'm going to get my little squeegee and I'm just going to put it out on my palette a bit thinner. So the white is going to be mixed with thin paint. There. I don't want it to be a straight white, so I've got a bit of this shadow colour just over in here. So I'm going to use it and mix it with that, the titanium white, so it's not just a straight white. I don't want it a straight white, it's in the shadows. Once you pull the paint out and it's the consistency and colour that you want, I just tap into that. And then just here and there, pretty liberally really, I'm going to apply a bit of snow just on the tops of these. See that? And because I haven't put loads of green in, it'll stand out nicely and it won't mix with that colour underneath. But you see how liberally I'm actually putting it on and applying it. I'm not putting tons of paint, or maybe there's a bit more just sat on that branch there. Just now and again I like to do that. But because I'm cleaning the brush off as well, every time I go back into my colour, I'm tapping the paint out and going back into it then, into the clean colour. Because you will pick up a bit of this colour that's out there. A few little bits on that. Turn it round. Use your clean load, that's it. Just that on top of that. But liberally do it. I'm not putting tons on. Most of it's melted. There's just this bit of snow hanging on in there. Maybe a bit more lower down on one of these. Few little bits on this one, but it's quite high and tall, so it catches the sun a bit more than these others. You know, if anything, this tree is putting these others in a bit of shadow really. So I'm going to put some little arms out for that where it's a bit more laden with snow. Just in there. And don't slip and slide when you're painting like this. You need to touch and pull away. Touch it and then pull it away. Like there. Touch and pull away. If you touch and slide, you'll end up mud mixing. We don't want that. We don't want you to be mud mixing with your paint. We really don't. Want it to be crisp and neat. Maybe we've got one just out here as well. A few may be hidden in the shadow, just like so. Great stuff, I'm happy. Maybe there's a bit more just in there. Good, but don't kill it all. Don't kill all the darks. Don't put your highlights everywhere. Nice. And then right at the base of this tree, I'm just going to tap, get a little bit of bluey colour to it even. And it's a titanium white, quite a bit of paint I'm tapping into there. And then just underneath, because these are in the shadow, we're going to have a little bit of snow on them as well. So if it doesn't stick like that, it didn't stick for me. You notice there, it didn't stick at all. I'm just going to show you how much easier it is when you put a little bit thinner with that. I just put some thinner with that paint now. And then watch the difference now. Look at that stick beautifully. A fully laden bush that I want to paint. A little bush there that's just totally laden with snow, and it just vanishes off into the bush, into the shadows. Just in there. Again, I want to tap into that thinned out colour. Maybe there's a few little things. Just got highlights in there. Tiny bit on that. Good. Right, I'm happy with that stage. So I've got this brush with the white on, and I'm just going to pull through that colour. Put a tiny bit of blue with it as well. See that? Just a little bit of blue into the white. And then there's a nice shadow there. So I'm just going to bring this in front of that shadow. Yeah. Tiny little, another little shadow, but it creates a separate layer. It's exactly what we're wanting. Now we can get straight titanium white, allow it to mix with the bluish shadow colour, and I can just go over that softly, just allow it to blend into there. There, that's it. And the angles that you use with this are really, really important. I've just got myself a shadow colour, some blue and some crimson. Now, see that? Get some titanium white, and then what's left on there should be just the right colour. Don't want it too dark. Now I'm just going to try this first. You see, there's an area of all this is in shadow. Basically, all this snow, I need a bit more of the blue tone to that. Just getting a bit more blue with it so that it's got that hue. It's a fine line when you're twitching between colours like this. But see how the difference between the blue I was wanting and the colour that I got. Plus it's a bit too dark. So I'm going to use white with that colour on the brush, that bluey colour. I'm just going to actually go in here and paint some shadows in. Because it is very shadowed on this edge here, on this side. So I want to bring them shadows and integrate them into this area, and it'll make that look so much brighter also. Yeah, like that. Now there's a bit of light just hitting that edge, just in there. Shadows and stuff like that going on in here as well. See that? Predominantly in shadow though. And you will see the difference. It'll make this area all in here look so much brighter by doing this and increasing the shadow. That's it. And then same in there. Put some nice shadow colour in, but don't kill all the white. Leave a few areas a bit whiter as well. Just in here, don't cover it all. Don't blend it all together too well. And then you can actually use your brush and just bring a few little shadowed stuff coming in with that blue as well. Same over in here. Try not to touch this colour too much. You can go into it slightly, but you'll end up picking it up on your brush. With wet on wet, it's a lot of painting that you do is about what not to do. So you pick a tiny bit of that colour up, you can still blend it into the snow. It's not a big deal, and I'm going to put that coming out a little bit anyway, because it's part of the water that's just starting to thaw out and stuff as it ripples down here. Right, so now we need to put some shadow on this side. And exactly the same thing with the shadows will be done with that side, but I'm just going to increase just for this. There's an area where I need the shadow to be quite a bit deeper. just in there for this water area. There's like a bit of a shadowed spot just in there, and then gently blend to it. See that shadow will remain in there, and if you do what I did, like just up there, you can reintroduce that edge. It's nice actually to do it, but yeah, we're going, it's working, it's coming on good. I'm happy. Just blend a bit that dark shadow colour in there, maybe a bit dark just in there as well. All these different variations of shadow are so important, but now I'm going to actually use that, and I'm coming to the other side now. Just over in here. Now there's still white left in there at first. See, just in there you've got a few shadows, and then there is some light, but down in here the shadow is predominantly just a shadow, and the snow is here that's bright, getting hit by the sunlight. So all this stuff in shadow needs to have some of this darker toned colour on it, right up into there, you see. That's it. And then don't kill it all, leave an area, put another little shadow in, same again. Leaving the white in between though is important. You do leave a bit more white on this side than this side, because the light will still slightly catch it, even though it is in shadow. It's slightly catching it here and there, just on the tops where it's higher raised. Cool. All in there. Now just in here I want straight white snow with a tiny bit of the shadow colour. So I've got white and then the shadow colour behind it. So where I've slightly lost this edge, I'll use the white at the top, see that? The white at the top, there. And then that's just simply then a bit of snow that's jutting out into the water, just in there. And other areas as well, you can just come in and just neaten it up. I'm happy. Really enjoying doing this for you all. A slight bit of shadow just there. Just by putting that shadow behind, that's suddenly in front of it then. See, that's the way you work with these. Put the little shadows in, even in the highlighted areas, and it'll give you depth and different planes of distance. Now, I'm just going to use a small brush. Let me get some of that. So I've got the dark on here and some of this brown. But I don't want it to be as dark as it is, so I can grab a bit of that whitey colour over there. You can see there the tone I'm after. Now, just up in here, this water's trickling somewhere. I'll just show you. Put a few little bits in. It's vanishing off behind here slightly. It just disappears behind this area. You see this little hill. So I've got some white. I can paint in front of that. And now that I've blended behind it, it just vanishes off straight behind there. Touch a bit as well and come back. And then it actually reappears just here very small. It's actually just tripping from this river, and it's putting a tiny bit of water just into this spot, and then it's freezing. Places like this though really do turn me on. I love them. It's just such a gorgeous place. I'd love to go visit Yellowstone National Park. I really would. Hopefully one day I'll get an opportunity. Something like that. And then it's travelled down into there. Now I'm just going to get some of the white and the blue tone. The white and the blue. And then just in here, just going to put a few little bits of snow that are jutting out into that water. And these edges really do help getting this painting on the edge. It looks like little rocks and boulders and stuff because of the shadow colour you put on there as well. See that? I hope it stands out to you. You just go in and put little planes with white, a slightly lighter white on. See that? And just put some indications of all kinds of little things going on in them shadows. Nice. Happy. Right, so I might just get a little bit of that white again, but not a lot, just the smallest amount, and put a little bit on there. Maybe there's just a tiny bit clinging on. It just puts a little bit of balance so that you can see some on them. Just the smallest of amounts. Maybe a bit up in there. There. Just the smallest amount, just clinging on to that. Great stuff. Right, I think I'm going to call this painting finished, guys. I'll give you a really nice close-up of it, and I hope you've enjoyed painting with me today. I've really loved doing this one for you. Take care, everyone.